Hello everybody, I am back with another video. So I just did one on the oldest child because I'm doing a series on birth order. And so obviously next would be middle child. So my middle child is Gabriel. Now we've probably all heard of the middle child syndrome. And basically that means you're used to being the baby for a while because you have an older brother or an older sister. And we'll get to the baby of the family in my next video. But you're used to being the baby, used to getting all the attention, used to getting away with things probably, and then another baby comes along, either a male or female, which can affect things in terms of gender. And so now you're the middle child. Middle child syndrome is you're often forgotten, or at least you feel forgotten, because the first gets to do all the first and gets the responsibility, and the baby, as I said, gets away with stuff and they get babied and maybe spoiled. The middle child doesn't necessarily get either of that. And this is just a generalization across the board. Obviously, in each family, it's different. But when I think of my family, I have an older, middle, and a youngest. Gabriel is the middle. If one were to ask him, do you feel ignored or overlooked ever? He might say yes, and I have to take ownership for that. I have missed a couple of his Taekwondo testing. These are big deals, and I've missed a couple of those just because so much going on, didn't even think about it. Did I miss his older brothers? No, because it just was a different situation. So when the second comes in, there's a myriad of more responsibilities and things to do with that. So obviously, there was a lot of guilt associated with missing a couple of his things. He had a musical at school. I completely overlooked that. And so the youngest, she hasn't really done much yet. But yeah, I definitely feel for him. And so I get to make specific time just for him so that he feels special with me. And Daddy gets specific time for him too. So he and Daddy garden together. And Gabriel and we usually watch something together, or we cook together, or we read together. We play games. I do want to start doing art together because he is a creative little being, and I used to be an artist in my former life. So we can start painting together or drawing together, especially as he gets older, because I don't ever want him to feel like he's not as important as his older brother or his little sister. Sometimes middle children do things to stand out because they're already not standing out. So they might get mischievous, or they might become the troublemakers in the family. A lot of times, though, they become the peacemakers because, you know, with all these family members, there's bound to be squabbles and conflict. It is natural when you have all these different personalities together. And the middle child organically takes on that role to become, excuse me, the peacemaker of the house and of the siblings and of everybody, really. I would not say Gabriel has taken on that peacemaker role. He's fallen more into the category of mischievous troublemaker in a fun, playful way, because he definitely wants to be noticed, and we get to make sure he is noticed, but not for bad behavior, for good behavior. So yeah, it's just always a constant cognizant awareness of, you know, the middle child may not have as many pictures as, you know, the oldest child. They may not have the grandparents doting on them as much because they've already been through that with the oldest child. There's really no more firsts to have for the most part, unless it's different genders, there are different firsts there. But in my case, you know, Gabriel has an older brother. So we went through all the firsts with his older brother. And but we get to make it as important with Gabriel. We get to make sure, and it is something that is in the forefront of our mind and of primary importance, that his firsts are celebrated as much as his brothers. It's something that, you know, it's something that's always going to be there. He's not going to be able to drive a car first, probably. They're both in Taekwondo. His brother got a black belt before he's going to get it. His brother is riding a bike before he is. His brother learned how to dive off the diving board in the deep end before he did. So he's done all these, you know, triumphant first that he's probably going to go to a dance first, graduate first, all these things. So we're going to make it as important for Gabriel to have this. And another dynamic on top of being a middle child is, you know, I've mentioned this in the personality video, Julian is just naturally sociable, naturally has tons of friends around him. Gabriel has deeper, fewer connections. There's nothing wrong with either. There's just a different way of being. So Gabriel has fewer connections, so he's never gonna, it's just not gonna be the same as what his brother has. So there's a lot of comparisons, and Daddy and I make sure, or we are cognizant, that we want to not compare the two. You don't want to compare your kids because they're completely different. As I said in the first video on birth order, nature is half of what makes up a personality. Nurture is the other half, and nurture is a lot of stuff, and birth order is just one part of nurture. Like I said, there's gender, there's culture, there's class. There is a lot that goes into nurture to make up who you are. So for Gabe, we want to give him the best start he has and make sure he has a lot of his own time so that he doesn't feel like he has to stand out. And oftentimes, if kids are going to stand out, they'll choose negative ways to stand out because that's what they know. They're either going to become overachievers and the peacemakers, or they might become the mischievous. Now, all this are stereotypes. All these are broad generalizations. Of course, it's not true for all middle children or older children or babies, but that is my experience and the work that I've done with kids in therapy, and also with my son specifically. Thank you, and the next video will be out soon regarding the youngest, which I am. Take care.